Hey, what's up? What is the VC here? Back at you with another video here, and it's about anything and everything. And so far, I mean, these last few days have been focused on this whole wildfire situation because it's the biggest thing happening right now in my home state, California. Uh, I currently live. I live in Northern California, but still, it could happen anywhere at any time, especially if it's mismanaged and all that stuff there. So without further ado, we're just going to go straight to the latest and what we got going on with the wildfire. And some things have come to light, in terms of the further incompetency of the mayor, the governor, who look like dummies, right? And now some further things have come to light that further solidify the incompetency of these people. And so, for example, this one just came up, right? Oh, you know what? Before we do, let's talk about the latest update here. It looks like they just ordered a new evacuation orders for the Palisade area because the fire, right when they looked like they were about to get a little bit of containment happening, um, the fire ended up spreading even more in the Palisades area. And so now that they are, furthering the evacuation orders as it's gotten bigger once again in that whole Palisades area. I don't know if they have a map of that, but it's on along the west coast, that little coastal area there. Palisades is where it's at, up and down. Um, Let me see if there's a. I guess we could look at this one right here, the tracker. So let's see here. All right. Yep. Yep. Let's see. So the Palisades fire, and then you have the Eaton fire. So these are the two fires that are still happening, and I can't even zoom in on it. I wish we could just zoom in on it. Let's see here. Man, mapping the damage in Altadena and Pacific Palisades. All right, let's see here. Man, they make you go through all this crap. All right, I'm just trying to just look at it, and then it's like, man, really? All right, so let's just see here. Um, yeah, so the Palisades fire moves towards Brentwood in a significant shift. All right, let's see if the Washington Post can give us a better picture here of what they got going on here. So it's only 11% contained right now. That's the main fire that first started, and then you had other fires that were happening like Eaton Fire, Kenneth Fire, Lydia Fire, Hearst Fire, and Archer Fire here. Wish there was a map on that. Be nice to have a map. Yeah. So, one thing about Washington Post is that they are starting to kind of open things up more towards just open press instead of just left leaning like most of the media was or is, and some of it you could say was. Um, that's what's happening here. So this is the latest here from Cal Fire. Maybe Cal Fire will have a map. I know it's just nice to have a visual here. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. All right, there we go. All right, so these are the fires happening. There we go. Now we got a better picture. Let me scroll down. Better picture. So look at the Palisades fire. This thing's huge. Kenneth Fire, Hearst Fire, Eaton Fire. So those are the main ones right now. Looks like they kind of squashed the other two little fires that started. But these are the biggest ones right now. All right, let me see. And this Palisades one's huge. Took up a whole area. You look at the whole Topanga Park and Point Mugu State Park. All that brush and green area here. This is fuel right here. Hearst fire is along the mountain here, so to me, if it crosses over the mountain, you got this whole area of Santa Clarita. That's where my friend's at. This is bordering the Angeles National Forest over here, with the Eaton fire. And the affected area is almost as big as the Palisades. Look at that. It's crazy. And then the Hearst fire looks like it's been pretty contained there. Yeah, look at that. It's huge. Huge area. So much green mass there. Little tiny fire. There, the Hearst fire. See, if this thing gets big, I mean, there's communities out here. I got a friend that lives in this area, a couple friends actually in this area here. And then the other big one's over here. Look at that, Eaton fire. That's in the kind of the somewhat mountainous area. If it goes further south, that's all land and houses. Further north is all kind of like mountainous terrain. So far 11% contained, 15% contained on the Eaton, Kenneth, and Hearst. Where is the Kenneth? They don't even show that one, huh? Oh, the Kenneth, there it is. Yeah, it looks like they got most of that one contained at 80%. And the Hearst is pretty much there too, 3/4 of the way there. It's a little smaller one here. Alright, I say if it gets big, man, it could go over that mountain, man, it would be hitting that area. Alright, so that's the containment area now, the latest on everything. So as of about an hour ago from the time of this video, let's see, spreading towards Brentwood where the Getty Center is now. So it's getting close to that Getty Center, you know, which is the art museum. So if it gets to that, man, that'll suck. Eaton fire, 7,000 structures destroyed. Kenneth fire is in Calabasas and Hidden Hills. That one was straight up arson. A person was taken into custody on suspicion of arson. Not enough evidence to charge so far. Lydia fire, Antelope Valley was contained. Hearst fire is still fighting right now. And then the Archer fire. This blaze broke out Friday morning in the Granada Hills area, northwest of downtown LA, has burned 19 acres so far. The Archer fire. Let me look at that one again. Oh, that's the map here. Where's the Archer fire? It must be one of these little small ones. Granada Hills? Where the hell is it? It's probably in this area. Somewhere in this area. I don't even see it. I wonder if it's that thing there. That little thing. Might be this little thing here. Alright, anyhow, so that's the latest on containment. Alright. And what else we got going on at the Washington Post here? As they've been more just open media now, right, which is great, as they abandoned the sort of left-leaning tendencies. Vegetation clearing warnings were ignored, right? So that's been no secret. You know, so there's lots of vegetation in California. Even I got some in my front yard. Many homeowners are reluctant to remove wooden fences, replant their gardens, trim their limbs, all that stuff. Yeah, a lot of that stuff. Fire chief says the city failed their agency, so that was a big press there, and this led to...
The city of Los Angeles fail you and your department and our city?
It's my job to stand up as a chief and exactly say justifiably what the fire department needs to operate to meet the demands of the community.
Did they fail you?
That is our job, and I tell you, that's why I'm here. So let's get us what we need so our firefighters can do their jobs.
Did they fail you?
Look at that.
Yes.
Was your budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025 cut?
I can tell you, I'm going to even go back further than that.
It's from
Again,
Fox 11.
Since day one, we've identified huge gaps in regard to our service delivery and our ability from our firefighters, boots on the ground, to do their jobs. Since day one, this is my third budget as we're going into 25-26. What I can tell you is we are still understaffed, we're still under-resourced, and we're still underfunded.
Parts of it is the woke part of it is when it comes to woke hiring, they're looking more for females. They're looking for outside the male, white male people to be hired. And if they just hire based on ability, skills, I mean, particularly ability, right? You need men to do the job too. And forget about skin color. All right, there's going to be people that's going to want to do it, but you can't just hire based on skin or gender. And that's what's happening, these DEI hiring, and then you wonder why you're understaffed. So that's part of the problem. And then the other part of the problem is the cut of the budget, what she's describing, underfunded, under-resourced. So yeah, that makes sense. But part of it also is the woke hiring practices, DEI.
So with that, whether it's $7 million, $10 million.
But was the budget cut, Chief?
Yes, it was cut, and it did impact our ability to provide service.
Look at that, man. Firm with the questions. So let's see here. Expected to be the most destructive in LA history. So they had the Bobcat fire in 2020. This is the biggest one. Oh, the Woolsey fire, 2018. Oh yeah, Palisades, man, it's still burning too. So Karen Bass faces political crisis over trip budgets and amid fires. Oh yeah. So with her speaking out, right? There was actually led to a let me see here. It led to let's see if I can find it. Where's it at? Well, it led to a closed door meeting. All right. I can't find the clip of it, but yeah, it led to a meeting. All right, that the mayor and what's her name? The mayor and the fire chief there that just spoke out. It's supposed to be a meeting, and it was talked that the fire chief was expected. She was expecting herself to be fired. All right, because of her talking against the mayor and just really talking shit. I mean, because she's blasting LA for the problems that they're having with being able to fight this fire. All right, they don't have the resources. Where was the leadership and all that? All right, and so and then she comes back. We saw it all. She was silent at the airport. She wasn't speaking. The mayor, that is, and it just goes on and on. So then you come to find out there's a reservoir nearby that was empty. All right, so let's take a look at what happened here.
Nothing brings us together like Eggland's best
eggs.
Always so fresh and delicious, plus superior nutrition. For us, it's eggs any.
Yeah, this stuff just comes out.
Best. Eggland's best.
The Palisades fire has grown to more than 21,000 acres. It is only 8% contained as firefighters continue to battle dry conditions.
Well, 8% as of 15 hours ago, but right now it's 11% contained.
More than 5,000 homes and structures lost. It is the fourth most destructive wildfire in California history. Meanwhile, we're following reports of looting in the area. We're also learning why a nearby reservoir, a crucial resource, could not be used in the firefight. So let's go live to Eyewitness News reporter Josh Haskell, live in Pacific
That's the
Palisades.
crazy thing is that there's a nearby reservoir that could not be used. You know why? Because it was empty. They didn't fill it.
Josh?
Yeah, David and Colleen, it has been a desperate scene here all day. We are at the final checkpoint to get into Pacific Palisades. Take a look. Residents are trying to get in, but you need a police escort. They are being turned away. Most are. But first, I do want to play a video that I received earlier from a friend that was recorded on his home Ring camera. His family is evacuated, but it was a surprise recording from a firefighter who's in place in his driveway for structure protection.
Hello, I don't know if you can see this, but we're the City of Orange Fire Department. We're assigned for protection, what we call full patrol of your neighborhood. So we'll be roaming around probably the whole next 24 hours, make sure nothing flares up, so we can protect your property.
Now take a look at this line of cars on Sunset Boulevard at one of the 3 checkpoints. Now, residents have been lining up to see if they still have a home and retrieve their belongings. The Palisades fire is the 4th most destructive fire in California history. The devastation catastrophic, as it really feels that over 50% of the town of Pacific Palisades is gone. The fire is currently at 8% containment. Now, it's burned over 21,000 acres. 5,316 structures have been destroyed, and over 3,000 firefighters are assigned. Air support has helped a great deal, but as we've been reporting, one of the 2 LA County super scoopers assigned to the Palisades fire was hit by a drone and has been taken out of service until Monday. The current red flag warning ends tonight, and another one will start Monday. Here's what Mayor Bass said today, and also we interviewed a resident of Pacific Palisades whose home was looted.
I want the residents of Los Angeles region to have faith in what we are doing 24 hours a day. I can say on behalf of our first responders, from the fire department, the police department, we are doing everything we can to bring the situation under control, and success has been reported.
We saw about 3 guys go in. They were wearing what you'd see like people wear during COVID, just like a hoodie and the normal mask, and essentially they just went in and they took a lot of things. They didn't take any photos, like sentimental things. Those are still there, but we did have a good amount of cash in there. We had watches, most importantly clothes, a lot of nice clothes, designer things.
I don't know. I mean, couldn't you have taken the cash? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know you're in a rush to relieve the house, but cash, right? Yeah, watches. I don't know if you could grab some or not, but cash. I mean, that's just one of the things you could just grab as you're running out the door.
Now, Aiden and his family are under a mandatory evacuation, and although firefighters saved their home, they now have to deal with looting. Now, they told me they feel betrayed by the city. Also, the Santa Ynez Reservoir, which holds 117 million gallons of water, is currently closed because of repairs to its cover, and it could not be used during the Palisades fire. Although it is located in the middle of the Palisades, in the Palisades Highlands, and some believe it would have really helped. Governor Newsom has ordered a probe as to why that reservoir was offline. Now, there is no word yet.
You're telling me that he's not informed about state reservoirs, capacities, as to, you know, things that are going on, if there's maintenance, there's, you know, this and that he's not informed about that stuff? Come on, really? You know, I'm ordering a probe. You know, he's just trying to act like he's doing stuff because he's acting like he's caring, but he doesn't give a fuck because he's torn down dams. All right, it's no secret that, you know, he tore down 4 dams or something like that up north to give back to the, you know, native land, to protect the smelt. Right, let all that runoff from Canada, the Sierra Nevadas, from the rain. You know, we had a wet rain season these last few years, and, you know, to not be able to contain all of it just for things like this, or just to have a water supply, you let it run off into the ocean. And so, yeah, No, I'm ordering a probe. Get the fuck out of here.
At how those looters have been getting into Pacific Palisades, because there really are checkpoints at every entrance and exit. That is part of the reason why the National Guard has been called in and is on their way here. We haven't seen them here yet, but we expect them to be in the Palisades shortly.
You know, it's funny. They made this the headline, and like it was like barely like 30 seconds. You know. And it's just funny how, but they focus more on the looters, which is important too, because yeah, that's just screwed up. That, you know, despite all this, you're getting evacuated, right? You're saving lives, and then you got to worry about looters going in to take your stuff. I mean, it is pretty fucked up, you know. And but that's one of the bigger stories too. Is why wasn't this reservoir up and going, you know? So, new evacuation orders. He's called for an independent investigation as to the loss of water pressure to local fire. I mean, I've already explained it. Because you're not letting water supply run down to Southern California. You have the nearby reservoir that's out of use. Right, and you wonder why there's no pressure in the water, because there's no water. I mean, it's like common sense. There's no water. It's not rocket science, Gavin. You dummy. You know what I'm saying? Who's dumber? Dumb and Dumber, right? Bass and Newsom, right? Dumb and Dumber. Which one's dumb and which one's dumber, right? I mean, they're both pretty close. It's a close first and second, you know, depending on how you look at it, right? Because they're both idiotically stupid. All right. Let me see here. Why was the Santa Ynez Reservoir empty? Right? People are asking these questions already. Empty reservoir. Not that it was out of, you know, it wasn't like they were trying to fix whatever. It was empty. It began in February after a tear in the floating cover, measuring several feet, allowed debris, bird droppings, and other objects to enter the water supply. DWP, which is the Department of Water, drained the site to avoid contamination and comply with water regulations. That was a year ago, February? I mean, how long does it take? Or has there been no work done at all? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like this, right? But you know, like, has there been any work done at all? You know what I'm saying? Reservoir was out of commission. Yeah. Let's see. LA Water Chief knew about empty reservoir. Let's see. So everybody's talking about how it was empty. All right. So that's one area that now you cannot go get water from, right? I'm just wondering if they close this down in February. Has there been any work done at all? Or they've just been dragging their feet, collecting checks? You know what I'm saying? So that's the question for me. So you have looters, no water. You got some idiots, all right? Think about it. There's no pressure. I wonder why there's no pressure, because there's no water, right? You know, and you got the Democrats, liberal media talking about how the pressure was just low. But you know, it's just one of those functional problems, and it's like, no, it's low because there's no water. Duh. I mean, it's like a bunch of morons, you know. So let's see what else we got going on. So you have that. It's crazy stuff. Let me see what else we got. So bigger evacuation orders. Trying to see if there's more to it right now. Any other details that I'm missing? Newsom, California Dems ripped for wasting $25 million to attack Trump. Yeah, you know what's funny too is the deflection, right? Anytime these Democrats, right, and they all act the same, right? Anytime the Democrats, are at fault for something, they always deflect blame rather than just say, you know what, yeah, it's bad, I'm sorry, right? These Democrat leaders, very rarely do they accept blame. They will sit there and be like, it's Trump's fault, right? They're going to blame Trump, right? This shit like this. They're always going to blame somebody.
Great content needs
That's
a great
one
audience.
thing they like doing,
like
is
Santa
deflecting.
Claus needs cookies.
What? No cookies for Santa?
Let's see here.
Is now the right time to have a special legislative session on allocating money to fight Trump in a way that you could already do without a special legislative session?
Oh, this is referring to the special session to Trump-proof California, right? That they're still going to hold this coming Monday, right? Meanwhile, we got this fire we got to worry about, right? But no. They want to have this special session still when we got other priorities to worry about and other things that bigger things than some bullshit special session, right? That's the stuff that Gavin Newsom likes to do. He's a fucking moron. They always do these special sessions. They have all these different committees and subcommittees and all this bullshit, right? Waste of money, waste of everything, right? Destroying California, and then you morons still want to vote for him. I just don't get it. Hopefully this is a wake-up call, all right?
So I'm here to address these wildfires. This is a historic wildfire.
People are trying to understand what's going on and are worried about disaster relief, worried about the ability to get homeowners insurance. Your chamber gavelled into a special legislative session to prepare for Donald Trump.
That was a reporter finally holding the Democrat Speaker of the California State Assembly his feet to the fire, demanding to know why they're doing a special legislative session to get $25 million more in spending in order to sue the Trump White House in court. When tens of thousands are now homeless from the LA wildfires still blazing away. Joining us now from House Oversight, Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett. What's your take on this and the Democrats' focus here?
Well, I think it's correct that they are just completely overwhelmed. My heart goes out to the firefighters and the innocent people who've lost everything. But the truth is that the Hollywood elite, the big money, the dot-commers, they've kept these liberals in, and they kept these liberal policies. They've your legislature is gutless, your governor is gutless, and your mayor's gutless. They need to throw them all out. But will they do it? I doubt it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Despite all this, right, you have the ability to get rid of these morons, and you guys will not get rid of them. All right? I just don't get it. Like, look at how terrible everything's been. And outside of the fire stuff, right, the crime, the economy, the wasteful spending, like, look at everything, right, as a whole, and you guys still will not do anything about it, right? So what he's equating to and what I believe is that, well, you get what you vote for, you get what you want, all right? And this is the only way you're going to learn, all right? You're going to learn by getting what you want, right? Because that's just the only way to learn. And when you get what you want, maybe you might finally wake up, right? So this is what you got, right? You got this fire, you got what you want. Now, for a lot of these elites, it's in your backyard now. So what are you going to do about it?
I doubt it. They'll figure out some way to blame this on Donald Trump or global warming or something like that, Liz.
Yeah, global warming. What kind of bullshit is that?
And the sad truth is,
and it has nothing to do with global warming. It has everything to do with just deforesting, right? How about cleaning up brush, right? Preparing and getting rid of all the kindling that can be building up, instead of worrying about conservation of dry, dead grass and dead trees and all that. We need to clean it up, right? Because this is all recipe for disaster. We need water supply, right? And when we have ample water supply and we're worrying about drought when there's no drought, but yet you're worrying about a drought, but you run off all that water to the ocean, which doesn't make sense. You could run all that water down, make sure that we're always at capacity so we don't have to worry about being in these so-called drought conditions that sprout up from time to time. Then maybe we wouldn't have some problems. We'll have some problems solved, right? So it's just funny how things are, and it's not rocket science, right? You know, protecting some tiny little 3-inch fish, right? So as Jesse Waters said, you smelt it, you dealt it, right? So this is what you want, this is what you get. You got to give them what they want in order to wake up.
I used to be in the U-Haul business, and we could never get the big U-Hauls. Heck, they're all here in Tennessee now. I'm not in the business anymore. It's because everybody's leaving that has the ability to, leaving California. So what have you got left? You've got poor folks, and you've got these rich liberal elites that are running this state into the ground. They've torn down dams. They've refused to fill reservoirs. And you have just a governor and a mayor and a state legislature that is completely tone deaf.
Yeah, let's recap the breaking news at the top of the hour. California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling for an independent probe into LA County officials and into the fact that fire hydrants were high in dry of water. 2 reservoirs near the Palisades feeding into the Palisades were dry. They didn't have water in those reservoirs. Now you've got basically an area twice the size of Manhattan torched. The seafront for Malibu has been torched. California just outlawed for 1 year companies canceling insurance in that area. But consumers are getting really angry. They're saying, we're all now supposed to foot the bill for Democrat mismanagement in California? And Biden is plowing more money into the area, saying more money for 6 months' time. As people are still freezing in North Carolina. They're not getting money.
Just from Upper East Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, areas of Georgia, there's no water, there's no electricity. Man, there are people still living there in tents, and you have these arrogant federal bureaucrats saying, we'll get you $700, but they don't have even any identification or a computer to get it. And it looks like they're going to roll out the red carpet for the Hollywood elites. But, ma'am, that is another reason why Donald J. Trump is in the White House. They are tone deaf. They're getting their political advice from The View. And that currently is why they're turning on each other, is because they're seeing that their policies are failed and America is onto their garbage.
It's beyond a tragedy. The words can't even capture, Congressman, what's happening.
Man.
We're talking tens of thousands of people becoming homeless in the span of 3 days. And we're talking about beachfronts now, like Malibu, now just totally torched and wiped out when they knew they needed to keep those reservoirs full. The fire department chief is now turning on the mayor, Karen Bass, saying, you and the city leadership failed the fire department. You failed us. And now the governor is turning on other Democrats in L.A. Take it away. Final word.
Well, you're correct as always, Liz. I saw years ago reports that they were not filling reservoirs because of whacked out environmental policies. This is just more manifestation of liberal policies, and we're seeing it play out right in front of us. Hopefully they'll wake up and realize that that's not the way to go. But
hey, like I said, in order to finally realize, you got to give them what they want, right? You wanted this, you got this, right? And that's the bad thing about it. And think about that, though. Like, that's a travesty right there of not having water ready, standing by, right, in an area. This is kind of odd because an area like this that has no water standing by, that's kind of unusual, to say the least. But to me, it's a travesty, though. Especially with lack of funding, equipment for the fire department, because you sent equipment over to Ukraine. Right? You don't have maintenance workers to maintain a fleet of vehicles or whatever protective equipment. I mean, that's just crazy, right? It's just crazy. And then you wonder why you have these problems, right? Because you got the mayor that's so woke and worrying about going to Africa and doing all these things for Africa when they have nothing to do with LA. I mean, you're running a large city, right? It's not some mayor of some, pissant town or something. This is what they say, the third largest city in the United States, I guess. That's crazy. So to be going on these trips, it's fine if you want to take one from time to time, but when there were situations about to occur, yeah, I mean, you should just be kind of standing by instead of just flying out. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, you might have to miss out on the inauguration. She's not even going to show up for Trump's inauguration. So what the fuck, right? Because we all know she won't, because she's woke, right? Woke people are not going to show up unless they're, of course Kamala will show up because, she's the ex-vice president, but all these other people won't. But it's funny though, the incompetency of everything, right? And of course, Gavin Newsom, when he gets criticized, what does he do? Oh, this is not the time to be criticizing. We're in a time like. Get the fuck out of here, man. If Donald Trump was to do something and it became a fail like the Democrats have been, oh man, they'd be all over it. All right, they'd be attacking him like a swarm of dogs. All right, like crazy. So don't bust me with some bullshit. All right. But yeah, so now he says right here, he invites Trump to tour the California damage. So what? I mean, what? I mean, what? For what? Just to say, I mean, what's Gavin gonna do with Trump there, right? So, yeah. So LA fire chief throws the mayor under the bus. Yeah, because she's just telling what the reality is. She's not gonna sit there and get blamed, because I'm sure they're gonna blame the fire chief for not getting this thing under control, I guess. And it's like she's just trying to speak the reality of everything. And so it's just funny how everything they speak of here about the blame game, they're obviously going to blame everybody else but never themselves, right? Gavin Newsom never takes blame for nothing, all right? The mayor, she's not going to blame herself for anything. What's she going to do? She's not going to blame herself for anything, all right? So it's just funny how that is. Growing concerns over Palisades fire water supply, right? Let's see here. Breaking news, California GOP lawmaker absolutely savages Gavin. Yep. But yeah, that's the biggest thing just hit, is that there's new evacuations ordered for the Palisades area. All right, as the fire's gotten worse, spreading there. Let's see, what else we got here? Aerial view there. Yeah, so yeah, it's just unfortunate, it just sucks that you got dummies, and we've had dummies running this state for so long, and it's like, I don't know when you morons out there are gonna have enough of this BS from Gavin Newsom. And the people in LA, I wonder if you guys had enough of Karen Bass, because she's trash too. Alright, so yeah, so let's see here. We'll see what they say here before we close it out. It's just,
can we stop with the
this makes
self-care
me
weeks?
mad.
What if we did
so
adult weeks
angry
instead?
about
Think
this.
about it. Instead of laying in bed and
And then,
So the editors,
they're talking about this whole home insurance stuff, right? Why all these companies bailed out of California because they got this FAIR plan, right? And the FAIR plan is government forcing insurance companies to still have policies in California, forcing them. So what happens when you force companies, right? Either they're going to give you higher rates, or they're going to say, nah, we don't want this liability, or the payout for the liability that's going to be happening, because there's going to be a lot of money drained. No, we're gone. And so they just choose to leave rather than deal with this FAIR plan bullshit that's forcing companies. I don't know how they work around that, but it seems like it's an option, and with this whole FAIR plan stuff. So the insurance companies say, we're out of here, instead. we're not going to deal with it, because why would we want to put ourselves in a situation where California is not doing anything whatsoever for prevention and leaving it up to things that can happen in California, such as wildfires, which is one of the biggest risks besides earthquakes, right? That it's just going to put these insurance companies on the hook to pay for everything. Yeah, insurance companies suck, right? They're trash too, and they're just money pits and money drain. All they do is take your money, but at the same time, they don't want to be doling out a shit ton of money for disasters such as what we're seeing right now in the LA area, because they know that it's going to destroy their companies, and that's why they bailed out. So let's see what we got here.
To the Free Press publishing a new piece titled Paradise Lost. The burning of LA is not just a natural disaster, it's a man-made catastrophe. As we look at these extraordinary images in Granada Hills, California, Barry Weiss is founder and editor of the Free Press, and she joins me now. Barry, it's great to have you with us on set. Obviously, this is a story that raises so many of the questions that William just addressed and that you all speak about in your editorial today.
Right. I mean, no governor or mayor can prevent 100-mile-an-hour winds. No governor or mayor can prevent Santa Ana winds.
Right.
This is part of LA, right?
It's a natural thing that's been there for a long time,
paradise, but built to burn. I mean, it's extraordinarily dry. There's tons of brush. There's lots of environmental factors that we can get into. But the reality, and I have lived in Los Angeles for the past 4 years of my life, the reality, as anyone there will tell you, it does not matter if you identify as a Democrat or a Republican or an independent, is Los Angeles is being governed, and the state of California is being governed by people who have lost sight of the basics of governing. They have lost sight of the idea that we pay you a tax so that you take care of basics for us. And nothing could be more basic than preventing the burning down of, as you just said in your introduction, an area twice the size of Manhattan, right? It's hard to conceive of how big this is. I woke up to text messages. Almost everyone we know has evacuated their home. We know people that have lost their homes. And the reason that there's so little trust, and the reason that you saw in that clip that mother confronting Governor Newsom with such rage, is because there's so much that led up to this moment. There was, just to choose one example, in our neighborhood, a middle-class neighborhood in LA, not particularly fancy, the police, if you called them for a robbery, and there were many, many robberies in our neighborhood, they would take an hour, sometimes 2 hours to show up. It had become almost like Brazil. It had become normal for middle-class people, upper middle-class people, to pay for private security, despite the fact that they were paying enormously high taxes already. So was it the fact that, the city cut the spending in the fire department by $17 million? Was it the fact that they were spending more on homelessness initiatives than on preventing fire? Was it look, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to point that out. Yeah, I mean, the money used to spend on homeless is better served for efforts, of the department of just cleanup. All right, just keeping things, where you don't have fuel for fire to start. To me, it was much better spent that way. I mean, but the homeless, which has been a fail, because how can you have the largest homeless population in the United States in LA and still throw money, billions of dollars at it? All right, even California throwing billions of dollars towards the homeless population, which has gone nowhere, and it's just a waste of money. That, all right, maybe you shouldn't be doing that and just utilize it better for things like roads and this stuff, fire prevention.
What I know is that the broader context in which this fire is happening is a context of total incompetency and leaders who are putting niche luxury issues, ideological issues, over and above the most fundamental things, keeping you and your family safe from crime, keeping you and your family safe from fires.
That's the job.
That's it.
That is the job. The job, when you think about the president.
But it's funny because at the same time, knowing that, right, with the law, with the crimes and all that, why wasn't there more of outrage, right? If it was so much bad things happening like this, why wasn't there more outrage to remove the mayor? Or well, we've tried at least twice to remove the governor, but you know, you have the coastal elites, right, upper class, that are dummies and morons, and don't really see reality as it is until it's in their backyard now in LA. Maybe this might be a wake-up call for all this process to happen to get rid of these people.
Oath of office, if it starts with national security, with keeping, and so at the local level, that is exactly what it is too. And I'm curious what you think about the larger movement that we see post-election. And I look at Gavin Newsom there, and the brilliant piece by the editors of Free Press, which should be a daily read for all of us, talks about Rudy Giuliani. Now, he couldn't prevent the buildings from falling down, but what did he do afterwards?
He stepped up.
You talk about the Santa Ana winds. You can't stop 100-mile-an-hour winds, but you know that they're there and likely to come in this environment. They're not, this isn't an unprecedented situation. So, talk to me about Gavin Newsom. When I see him standing there talking to that woman, I'm thinking, what's his
I'm
future?
thinking he's never going to be president. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is a person who is not, catastrophes happen, and then what leadership requires is meeting the moment. Right? There are clips going around Twitter right now from on Joe Rogan's show from years ago, where I think he's interviewing a fire expert in California. They are talking about exactly this scenario. Are you telling me that Joe Rogan, who's living now in Texas, knew more about what could happen in the event of a terrible fire than the governor and the mayor of California, of Los Angeles, who was in Ghana when this happened, despite the warnings? People look at that and they think, I don't trust these people to do the very basics of protecting me.
You know what's funny about this air support, right? Where they go and swoop and get water to drop on the fire. We have to rent those from Canada because we don't fund having our own fleet of these anymore as part of the woke efforts to cut back on any sort of, fire and law enforcement. And we have to rent these from Canada, this air support, which is pretty crazy in itself, that we have to outsource everything when it comes to just the stuff that we really need, and we have plentiful of, right? We have oil, right? Whether it's in the refineries, whether it's off the coast of California, we have oil supply sources, and we could fully fund ourselves rather than outsource. I mean, things like that, right? There's so many things that we could really benefit, but we have to outsource everything, and then you wonder why things cost so much, right? But this is one of the things that we have to outsource and rent as well, which is pretty funny.
Again, this is not about Democrat. It's not about Republican. It is about basic competency. And anyone who has lived in California, which is, in my view, the most beautiful state in the union, it's paradise on earth, and yet it's being run by people who are allowing apocalyptic scenes. And I don't just mean the fires. I mean, there are neighborhoods in LA where homelessness and drug addiction is just
Oakland,
so rampant.
It's fucking dumb.
Again, I just think that they've lost sight of basics, and part
Oakland's
of what
dumb.
The vibe shift more broadly right now that we're seeing is about Americans' demand for just common sense and policies rooted in reality.
You look at all these liberal
policies
cities, they're
that
dumps.
don't allow
San Diego with all the
one of America's greatest
border
cities,
jumpers,
the 5th largest economy in the world, to be burned to the ground.
You brought up John Lindsay, who was also a presidential hopeful. And I think we have an image from 1969, a huge snowstorm that swamped New York City. And these are the moments when you look at someone like John Lindsay or Gavin Newsom and you say, are you the leader that can take us into the future? Are you the guy that makes us feel better when something like this happens, that it's all going to be okay and that your tax dollars are at work in an effective way?
Right. How can you feel that way when California can't build a high-speed rail, when they can't do the very basics? So it's...
Yeah, waste of money. High-speed rail, the homeless program, paying for illegals. I mean, you name it. Like, all this wasted money, right? And you could clearly just move in a different direction with all that stuff. Be like, yeah, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. We're going to do that. But no. You want to have these woke agendas, pandering, all this stuff that is like unnecessary, and you think it's for the best of all of us, and the arrogance. That this is one thing that Gavin won't do. He will not step down. All right, he will not resign because he's just an arrogant piece of shit. The only thing you can really do is recall him, but by the time you recall him, his term will be done anyways. Karen Bass, you can still get rid of her. So I wonder how much of a uprise would there be to get rid of Karen Bass in L.A. And here's the last thing too before we go. All right,
really hard for people to feel a level of comfort.
The rebuilding of L.A. Imagine that. So Pacific Palisades, it's going to be along the coast. You're going to be dealing with Coastal Commission, and Coastal Commission has been very, 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 let's just say, difficult. All right, when it comes to granting permits, all this other crap, the bureaucracy of the Coastal Commissions, and dealing with all these different agencies to get the permitting process, to get all this red tape you need to do in order to rebuild. Watch how slow the rebuild is going to take because of this whole permitting process and all this red tape you got to deal with when it comes to rebuilding and everything. Watch, you're going to see in due time. We're going to talk about that more. But yeah, so I just wanted to just leave it at that. Your latest update.
In front of a teleprompter, and rather than reading the website that people are going to, she just reads the letters URL. That's not comforting.
Yeah, no, that does not instill confidence.
Oh man, that was the funniest thing ever when Karen Bass just said URL like a moron. See, that really shows you how stupid she really is. All right, let me see if I can find that clip. I really want to see that. Oh yeah, so LA Fire Chief meets with the mayor following remarks over budget cuts. Yeah, this was a closed-door meeting, supposedly, that she was expecting to get fired, but then she came back and she said, well, she's still here for another day. She's not fired yet. Yeah, so look at that. Karen Bass URL. Let's see. Makes her look pretty stupid, She was silent, right? And then let me see if they have that very clip. There we go. Viral gap.
Good evening, everyone. I stand here today with incredible drought conditions. 12 minutes later, it was devastation. More people and across the country. I spoke with President Biden today and Governor Newsom earlier today, and they assured me of full federal and state support. As we head into tonight, we are still facing have resumed, and that is a big deal, but it is up to the winds lines. All of us must be vigilant. So if you receive an evacuation order, please leave immediately. If you receive a warning, get ready. Protect yourself off the roads. And again, this is an active situation. And conserve water to the extent that you can. We want to make sure that we are ready if we need more water.
They're going to need your water bottles because they got nothing in the reservoir. They got nothing in the fire hydrants. So save all your water bottles, all right, because they need it.
But make no mistake, Los Angeles will rebuild stronger than ever. Right now, if you need help, emergency information, resources, and shelter is available. All of this can be found at URL. Los Angeles, together is how we will get through this. Through the heroism of our firefighters.
The fire chief was like, what the fuck? She took one look and she was like, what the fuck? And then she looked straight ahead.
Fighters, the vigilance of Angelenos, and the spirit of our city. This is through the heroism of our firefighters, the vigilance of Angelenos found at URL. Los Angeles, together is how we will get through this. Through the heroism of our firefighters, the vigilance of Angelenos, and the spirit of our city. This is a big moment. It is a big moment for all of us to come together, for Angelenos to be united, for Angelenos to be prepared to help each other.
All right, let me see what URL is. All right, so I'm gonna look that up right now. URL. Let's see here. It's a uniform resource locator. So I typed in URL, and I'm trying to get help here. All right, let me see here. I can't get any help here. It's not giving me any help. It's giving me Google Ads help. I mean, what is this? So yeah, pretty funny stuff. Anyhow, that's the latest update here. We're gonna be ongoing here in terms of just the incompetency, and Karen Bass needs to get the fuck out of here. And while we're at it, we gotta get rid of the governor too. Governor needs to go. All right, he's just been on this. He's been out the door for a very long time because he just thinks he's gonna be president. All right, he has aspirations, and you guys got to be a bunch of clowns to think that Gavin can ever be president one day. He's such a dummy, the biggest moron I've ever seen out here besides Karen Bass. Dumb and Dumber. All right, comment down below, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Thanks. I'll see you next one.